What's going on, everyone? So, the San Antonio Spurs' pursuit of Kevin Durant is still very much a thing. San Antonio still very much wants Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant very much wants the San Antonio Spurs, right? Can they find a way to make it happen and end up landing Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant gets to go to his preferred destination. Still very much an option. There's a lot of talks that as we inch closer to this upcoming NBA draft, that it's going to get done sooner rather than later, right? Around the NBA draft or on the NBA draft. But based on recent reports, the San Antonio Spurs are not aggressively pursuing Kevin Durant, as well as that they're not planning or willing to go all in for Kevin Durant, nor should they. But we'll touch on the nor should they here in a moment. But essentially, San Antonio is more than willing to trade for Kevin Durant if it's, within the realm that they're willing to give up, right? There might be slight little variations and whatnot, but if it's something where, you have to get the number 2 pick, or you have to give up Stephon Castle, or you have to give up Jeremy Sohan, or multiple firsts, or all these things that, the Phoenix Suns are looking to acquire, then they'd rather just kind of like, hey, you hold on to it, you do your thing, good luck to you. Maybe you can trade him to one of these other teams. If not, hold on to him and figure it out type thing, right? But if they can get him in their price range that they're willing to give up, then they're more than happy to take on Kevin Durant. Now, I do think, again, variation, right? Like, if it's, say, Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, the 14th pick, which seems to be, based on the reports, again, always take this stuff with a grain of salt because everything's rumor and speculation till it actually comes to fruition, right? But those 3 things seem to be the consensus from all sides, from reports from Phoenix is in, from Spurs in, right? That Phoenix wants that, Spurs are willing to give that up. From there is where everything kind of varies, right? Spurs want to, have to essentially in there, right? I could see them maybe giving up another future first, right? But the Suns, they want, Jeremy Sohan or multiple firsts, right? Spurs, based on the proposed package, would be willing to give up multiple seconds that they're willing to give up, but we don't know exactly how many, right? Is it 2 seconds, 4 seconds? We don't know exactly based on the reporting. Could that turn into, like I mentioned, another first where it's like, the 14th pick plus another first with Devin Vassell and a Harrison Barnes or maybe a Keldon Johnson or something like that, right? Maybe that's kind of the approach and route. But as far as the Spurs going all in on Kevin Durant, again, I don't believe that they should, right? To me, it boils down to, what do the Spurs believe their ceiling, I guess, would be with Kevin Durant? Do they believe we go trade for Kevin Durant and now we are a title contender competing for an NBA championship this season? If it is, then trade what you have to go get Kevin Durant, right? Like, if the Spurs, and this is why I don't think the Spurs really believe that, because if I'm the Spurs and I believe that we are a Kevin Durant away from winning an NBA championship, obviously nothing is guaranteed. There's a lot of variables that go into it. But if I believe that adding Kevin Durant makes us one of the best teams in the league and a team that genuinely can go win an NBA championship this season, why wouldn't I do whatever I had to go get Kevin Durant? Even if, the talks about, they're concerned about the window and what, like, every window is short, right? That's why you retool and revamp. And, when that window closes, you go and open up another one. You're still going to have Wemby, right? You're still going to have probably Stephon Castle, right? As long as I'm not trading the number 2 pick and Devin Vassell, then whatever I have to give up, again, under the assumption that I believe that Kevin Durant is the guy that solves us winning a championship, why wouldn't you go do it? That's why I don't believe the Spurs really believe that. I don't personally believe that. I think there is a version of Kevin Durant added to this Spurs team that absolutely can be that. But I think there's a lot of things that go into it. I think Victor Wembanyama, what is he like in year 3? If he just takes if you just see a little growth, I don't think so. But if he takes a real stride, right, and he really, starts moving into that, like, wait, is this guy, clear top 10, clear top 5 type player in the league, then yes, I think that there is that conversation, right? But if he's like, where is he in that 15 to 10 range, then, I think that, again, what does De'Aaron Fox look like? What does Stephon Castle look like in year 2? What does Dylan Harper look like in year 1? Right? And what other moves and little acquisitions and stuff can you get as well? Right? If you can go get Kevin Durant and then go make another move, which I think if you're the Spurs, you'd have to do regardless, right? Because you're not going to go trade for Kevin Durant to then kind of feel this out for 2-3 years, right? Like, if you go trade for Kevin Durant, you're all in, right? I understand not wanting to go all in for Kevin Durant by himself, but if you get Kevin Durant, you have to go all in at that point, right? And look, that could be how the Spurs are looking at it, as like, we can't go all in on Kevin Durant because we need assets and things left over to go make other moves to put around Wemby, Fox, and Durant, right? Because again, if you just add Durant, then I don't think you're there. Could you? Sure, right? Or you get to the playoffs, even if you're not quite there, you get to the playoffs, you get the right matchups, all of a sudden you're in the conference finals, the dominoes kind of fall your way a little bit. All of a sudden you're in the NBA finals. That's a very real possibility, right? But I think the Spurs look at this as like, Kevin Durant by himself doesn't catapult us to true title contender, right? I think that they're looking at it as like, okay, we need to go get Kevin Durant, yes, but then we also need to make other moves and do other things. So if we're selling all of our picks and everything else that we have to sell in order to go get Kevin Durant, then no. And they want to kind of balance their future and present. But here's the thing. What team has had success in doing that? Juggling the rebuild with contention, right? Usually you have to pick a direction. Sometimes like you look at like a team like Thunder, but they're not rebuilding. They already had their pieces. They've had their pieces for the last couple of years, right? Like, Spurs in many ways have to pick a direction and pick a lane as well, right? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want the chance to go for it now? If so, then do whatever you have to. Again, I'm not saying you overpay or go crazy on Kevin Durant, but I'm saying like, I feel like the Spurs kind of want this balance. And we've even got reports of like, Spurs don't want to sell their long-term window, right? Like they even have concerns about a Giannis Antetokounmpo and all that stuff. And like, I get that, but it's like, again, if you win championships, then who cares, right? You could stay the course and never win a championship, right? So again, but if you want to stay the course, that's fine. Stay the course, but pick a direction. You can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? We're not doing the hokey pokey here. We're trying to pick a direction, pick a lane, right? So again, if you don't want to go all in for Kevin Durant because you don't believe that he is enough by himself to make you a contender, then fine, move on, right? If the Suns, decide like, all right, fine, we'll take it, then fine, do the trade. But again, stay the course. Don't panic. You don't have to overdo it. Like, there's nothing wrong with staying the path and the course that you're on. Obviously, because you go trade for a De'Aaron Fox, you'd like to contend sooner rather than later. You don't really have 5 years to carve this out. And then, at that point, De'Aaron Fox is a shell of himself and, it's a little too late for him, right? But again, like, you have time. If carve this out over a year or two, right? Kind of evaluate, guys. See where you're at in the scope of things, and then make your decisions accordingly. Wait for those opportunistic trades. Wait for those proper moves. Again, if Kevin Durant falls in your lap at the price that you want, beautiful. Do it, make it happen, get it done, and then figure it out from there. But don't force the issue, is my point. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. best question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.